everyone, and welcome to this introductory video on Surrealism. Before we start, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Doncaster Council for sponsoring this video through their Fighting Back Fund, and Doncaster Art Fair for choosing me to create this educational video. So, what is Surrealism? Like most things in the art world, the definition of Surrealism is open to interpretation. However, the most common description is, in my own words, the rejection of rational thought. This means the artist aims to create a dreamlike world where nothing makes sense but often has deeper meanings hidden within the work, which will force a logical viewer to see the world differently. Take for example Salvador Dali, probably the most recognised Surrealism artist who has become a household name. He began as a fine art graduate but is most well known for his Surrealism. I'm sure you will recognise this painting titled The Persistence of Memory. You know, the one with the melting clocks. Many experts believe the deeper meaning of this work, other than the hardness-softness theme, is that of Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, of space and time, the collapse of a fixed cosmic order. Dali himself responded to this theory by stating it is in fact a surrealist perception of camembert melting in the sun. Whether or not he was joking, we will never know. Many surreal artworks show symbolism of time and space, with clocks, eyes, galaxies, gravity, shapes and even chessboards being frequently shown in surreal artworks. Surrealism should not make sense. Here are a couple of artworks from local artist Becky Rydel: Awakening and Blood Moon Rising. Humans don't have wings or biomechanical bodies, nor is the moon pink, that large, or pour down into a waterfall. Try to think about what these pieces mean, and you should be able to look deeper into all kinds of paintings on your next trip to the gallery. Most of the time, the title of a piece will give you clues, or at least a visual description. I'll leave these up for a few seconds, so feel free to pause the video and have a think for yourself before I give you some clues. Ready? In Awakening, the figure is trapped, exposed, in distress, mechanical and seemingly tortured. What do you think the artist was trying to get across in this piece? It is important to note that all art is open to interpretation, so if you see it in a different way to others, then that's completely fine. Ready for the next one? In Blood Moon Rising, we see both a literal and symbolic image of the moon controlling the tides, ocean, time and things beyond our control. Think you have the hang of it now? Here's a few by famous artists. Some of them you may recognise. Again, feel free to pause the video while you try and work them out. Now that we know the meaning of Surrealism and have seen some examples, it is important to learn some of the history behind this movement. In this video, we are focused on traditional paintings, but Surrealism occurs throughout all mediums, including poetry, film, photography, literature, and even music. Surrealism has evolved over time, beginning as mostly written word and collages, all the way to the present day, where artists have access to inspiration, tablets and photo editors, where they can create digital art or get inspired simply by scrolling through social media. It was a lot more difficult in the past to think in a surrealist way, and many artists relied on their dreams, starving themselves or using illicit substances to see these visions. Try to think of a new colour or a new art style, one that no one has ever seen before, and you'll realise how difficult it must have been for these artists to imagine things or worlds that don't exist or make sense. It's still difficult now, of course, but we have books, movies, photo editing software where we can manipulate reason to become impossible. Onto the history of Surrealism. Where did it begin and how? There is a lot of history here that would take hours to scratch the surface of. So this is a brief introductory account into the beginning of Surrealism. It began as a cultural movement shortly after World War I, influenced largely by existing and former members of Dada, short for Dadaism. Now that would need a whole new video of its own. So to be brief, they consisted of artists who rejected logic, reason, aesthetics, especially of their modern capitalist society. They aimed to express nonsense, irrationality, and a discontent towards war, violence, and nationalism. Dadaism was highly influenced by Cubism, Expressionism, and abstract art, which in turn led to the Surrealist movement. The term Surrealism first appeared in the March of 1917 in the form of a letter and later in a play. After this, it became a common term for describing the supernatural, strange, or otherworldly. By the October of 1924, two rival Surrealist groups had published a Surrealist manifesto. After a lot of quarrelling over which group had rights to them, André Breton and his group came out on top. Throughout the 1930s is when Surrealism reached its golden age. Salvador Dali joined the movement in 1929 and played a large part in the rapid establishment of Surrealism as a method to expose psychological truth, stripping objects of their significance and creating compelling imagery that would evoke empathy from the viewer. In modern times, Surrealism is largely embraced by all societies and cultures. It remains a talking point for many and encourages people to discuss the arts. Thank you to Sasha Gray from the New Fringe Doncaster for speaking on my behalf, and thank you for watching this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you liked it or learnt something new. Thank you.